Okay, I'm back. This video, as you can see, is entitled Spanish Sentence Formation Basic Level. There will be a few of these basic level videos. This is the first one. So let me give some preliminary remarks before we go into the exercise, but you can always skip forward to the exercise if you don't want to hear this part. So this series of videos is intended to get you to form your own Spanish sentences from a slowly expanding core list of vocabulary and grammar structures. This first video will, one, introduce the first vocab list, and two, introduce the ser verb of Spanish, which is one of two to-be verbs, but it's the one we'll use to make A is B identity statements and A is B descriptive statements. And three, and this video will also test your sentence forming abilities by giving you English sentences which you should be able to express in Spanish, if you learn the lessons in this video well enough, I guess. Okay, but we'll start off with Spanish to English first because that's easier. But the goal is, well, I'll just keep reading. The goal will be stated, right? So in subsequent videos, we'll augment our sentences, incorporating new vocab and new grammar, slowly becoming more sophisticated in how we can express ourselves in Spanish. The goal is to have all the vocab and grammar we drill as part of our active vocabulary and active grammar structures, meaning that we can form impromptu sentences that simply incorporate the vocab and grammar in our arsenal. The point is that there's a huge difference between a passive understanding or a passive vocabulary or a passive grammar, which allows you to understand Spanish when you read or hear it, and an active understanding or an active vocabulary and an active grammar, which allows you to wield the language to your purposes. In other words, to make sentences as you need. Okay, so, oh, and I say here, by the way, if you hate repetition, you're in the wrong place because I largely rely on repetition to instill the forms, to instill the vocabulary. Okay. Also, when you're prompted to make your own sentences, you should take that opportunity to say them aloud. Get used to speaking them. And when you have the opportunity, like I recommend shadowing my Spanish. I'm not going to particularly, um, yeah, I'm not trying to make this a shadowing video, so I won't give you enough time, but on occasion I will, and so I would just take advantage of those opportunities. Okay. Um, so the point of the video is to instill the grammar in you so that it becomes part of your active arsenal of things you can use when you want to speak Spanish. So part of this process is producing these sentences in real-time speed. It doesn't make, like, if you want to have a Spanish conversation, like, you can't sit there and pause and, buffer to try to formulate a sentence. It's taking you like a minute, and like people are just sitting there staring at you waiting for you to respond. No, we want you to be able to do this faster and faster so that you can have a relatively normal conversation at normal conversation speed. But of course, we have to progress to that stage. So we're allowing here. This is where you should take the time, but you should take the time to think it through. You should take the time and formulate that sentence and then spit it out and then say it. And then I will try to give you enough time so that you can do all that and without me just, giving you the answer. Um, but you can always pause the video. I know it's better when it's not paused, but it also makes my video much longer than it needs to be, I think. So anyway, okay, so all in time and with practice, so I will allow you more time, like I said in the beginning, and less as we progress. Now, this series is informed by my Spanish abilities. I was born in Peru. I was a native Spanish speaker, and that was my only language until I was like 6.5. And then somewhere around 6.5, 7, I transitioned over to English, and English has been my dominant language pretty much ever since. And my Spanish has slowly started to erode. Not erode, that seems a little bit strong. To, I no longer, I think, sound like a native speaker. In some instances I do, but I can't just like things just don't roll off my tongue like they do with natives. And like a native would definitely hear that I am no longer native sounding. But I'm basically just shy of that. Like, okay. Also, I have experience teaching Spanish. I have experience teaching Spanish grammar. I have experience teaching English grammar. Also, I'm making use of Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish, which I recommend if you're new to Spanish. It has a lot of words, it shows a lot of similarities between Spanish and English, such that you'll realize that your Spanish vocabulary is a lot richer than you would imagine. Also, I'm using Complete Spanish Step by Step by Barbara Bregstein or Bregstein. Not in this video because I don't need it, but later on when we get much more sophisticated, I'll rely on her to make sure I'm thorough. And occasionally I check sentences with ChatGPT if there's a doubt in my mind. Okay, so this is where like this information is coming from. All right, let's get into it. Now, I've chosen specifically words that I think Americans, I don't know about other English speaking countries, would know. Just like we have as Americans a general knowledge of certain Spanish vocabulary, and even if like it's not something that you can like pull out like even if it's not something that's what is it? What's the word? Uh anyway, it's not on your mind right now. It's not like but once you see it, you will recognize it, or it's not hard to figure out what it would be. So, but we're going to start off with some basic stuff. So, un amigo. Un is a, basically. It's the article a, but in Spanish we have the feminine and the masculine article. So, un is masculine, a, because amigo is for males. The O ending generally in Spanish is for males, and the A ending here, as you can see, for amiga is for females. So, un amigo, a friend, una amiga, a friend, feminine. I feel like Americans know, even if we pronounce it like amigo, hey amigo, right? But we know what the word is. Okay, this is self-explanatory. Papa. Notice the accent mark over the A. In Spanish, the accent mark falls on the second to last syllable, unless otherwise noted with this accent mark. So here, it's not papa, it's papa. Okay, means dad. Not father, it's dad. Padre would be father, but we're not doing that. We're just doing this. Okay, then mama means mom. I think another word that Americans know is hermano. Like, not most Americans, but a lot of Americans. And again, like, yeah, hey, hermano. Like, we would say it like that. But anyway, hermano is brother, and then O ending for masculine, and then feminine is sister, hermana. We don't pronounce the H in Spanish. Not even lightly. Don't even hiss it. Don't even don't try to be seductive with me and say hermano, right? Just hermano, as if it were written like that without the H. Hermana. Okay, those are the six people. Now, let me say something. I'm going to introduce other Spanish words that are not on this list, but they are intuitive. So, like, I'm not going to bother to list all the words that we're going to use that are intuitive because, like, there's almost, yeah, so you will know them. Okay, adjectives. The adjectives we're going to make use of. Me is my for singular, meaning if you are referring, if what you're possessing, like if you say my dog, dog is one dog. So it would be, you would say me. The word for dog is perro. So you would say mi perro. But if you were saying two dogs, if you're talking about two dogs and you're saying my dogs, in English, the my doesn't change. My dog, singular, my dogs, plural. But in Spanish, the my does change. It would be mis perros because perros would be plural and mis is that. So, but it just really, in English, it would translate as my. And the same thing with your, right? Your has two versions, the singular version. So tu hermano, tu hermano, But if you make this plural, you just add an S to hermano, and then it would be tus hermanos, right? Plural. So tu and tus, singular and plural version. You don't have to worry about gender, but you do have to worry about singular and plural. Okay. Inteligente, obviously it's intelligent. By the way, when an adjective in Spanish ends with an E, it can usually be applied to you don't have to change it for masculine and feminine. It's both masculine and feminine, right? It's like prince. Okay, so there you go. And then another one, amable, amable. This is like amiable, which means kind or nice, right? Amable. Okay. Um, no problem. Alto. Alto means tall. And then for men, and alta means not for men, but for masculine nouns, and alta means tall for feminine nouns. Okay. El. El and la are definite pronouns. The. Sorry, definite article. The. This is, by the way, in Spanish we also have plural. We have this, but these are just the singulars. So el, like if I say el hermano, which be the brother. La hermana, which would be the sister. I haven't put the plurals because we're not going to use them yet. Este. By the way, this is an adjective, not a pronoun. Este. So if you use este, this, you have to use it with a masculine noun. So este, do we have a masculine noun? I don't know. We don't have one here. I don't want to give you one, but we'll introduce some later. Okay, I'll just do that. Like for example, este perro. Perro is masculine, so it would be este perro. But esta casa, which would be this house, casa is feminine, as you can see with the A ending. It's most likely what's going to be. Then, so these are adjectives. They're not pronouns. You cannot just say este and not say anything after that. At least as far as we're using it here, it's an adjective. Later, in later future videos, we'll talk about the pronoun this and the pronoun that and the pronoun these and the pronoun those. But right now we're talking about the adjective. So este for masculine, that whatever you're gonna modify has to be masculine, and esta meaning this for feminine. Okay, those are 8 adjectives. You have to learn the subject pronouns in Spanish. So let's go over them. I is yo. Yo. You is tú. He is él. She is ella. We is nosotros. You plural, like you guys or you all, is ustedes. This is the most popular way of saying you guys or plural you in Latin countries. But other countries like Spain, I believe Argentina, they will say here vosotros. But I'm teaching you basically the South American version and the more popular version in other Spanish-speaking countries. Like there's like 250 million Spanish speakers. The vast majority, I think, use ustedes. Okay, ellos is they, and ellas is also they. Ellas is used only when the group when the group you're referring to, and it could be a group of 2, is just women. If it's a group of 10 women and 1 man, you have to use ellos because the patriarchy is strong. Okay, so ellos is for all males or a group of mixed males and females. It doesn't matter the ratio. And only females, you can use as. The one conjunction we're going to use is and, which is e. E. Okay, this is the main of our vocabulary list. I don't think it's too bad because I think like for most of you, you already know 80% of this. Maybe excluding the subject pronouns will be new. But, and then of course, I think este and esta you wouldn't have known. But like learning like the is nothing. My and tu is nothing. Obviously, you already know intelligent. You already know this. Okay, I won't rehash. Okay, now let's get to our first verb. And the only verb we're going to use today to make 2 kinds of sentences. We're going to make identity statements. A is B, where A is a noun and B is a noun. And then we're going to make descriptive statements where A is B, where A is a noun and B is an adjective. Okay, so we're going to make it in the present tense, right? We're going to say A is B in the present tense. But we're going to do that for all of the subject possibilities. So first person singular, yo, and said is an irregular verb. It is the most irregular verb in the present tense in Spanish. So once you learn this, everything else is like downhill. Okay, yo soy. Yo soy. By the way, you see said ends with an ER. The ER is the sign of the infinitive, right? It's like the to go, to be, to see. The ER is basically the to in the to be, to see, to go, right? So in Spanish has ER verbs, has AR verbs, it has IR verbs, and those are only three. And this is an ER verb. So normally you chop off the ER verb and you add the personal endings, which you see below down here in red. And then so you just basically said would just be the S. That would be like the base or the stem, and then you add the personal endings. Okay. So maybe I'll put this as an ER just show you. No, I don't want to put that. So anyway, so that's all we're doing. But said is really irregular. So first one is soy. So you can see that the S, this is going to be the base, but the first person, yo, is the OY. So it's yo soy, right? Yo soy. I am. Yo soy. I guess I can type it for you. Maybe. I'm in my Spanish keyboard. Let's go to English. So this is I am. Yeah, let's push that. You are. Tú eres. You are. Tú eres. He is. Él es. It she is also the same, but I didn't want to put it because I just wanted to put like this nice, you know, chart here so you can just memorize the chart with soy, eres, es, somos, son. There's no reason to add another s and another son. But él and ella use the same conjugation, and then ellos and ellas use the same conjugations here. So at least for the verb, the ellos, the conjugate. But anyway, okay. So yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Él es, and this is really easy because it's the closest one that looks like is or sounds like is. Él es, he is. Es is. Okay. Um, nosotros somos is we are. Ustedes son is you guys are. I'll just put you are, but it's plural. Just remember that. And then they are. Ellos son. Okay, that's what we have here. I can't look at this in red. So let's do a little bit review. So, I mean, let's do a little bit of practice. And basically, this is how you remember these kinds of things. We just say them over and over a little bit. And we're just going to go down the left side, the singulars. Yo soy, tú eres, él es. And just remember that ella would be the same. So one more time. Yo soy, tú eres, él es. Yo soy, tú eres, él es. Yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Él es, he is. Yo soy, tú eres, él es. Yo soy, tú eres, él es. Okay, let's do the plurals. Nosotros somos. Nosotros somos. Ustedes son. Ustedes son. Ellos son. Ellos son. Nosotros somos. Ustedes son. Ellos son. Nosotros somos. Ustedes son. Ellos son. Okay, we're gonna see this over and over again because all of our sentences here, which you're gonna see at least 30 sentences, incorporate the said verb. So every sentence incorporates the said verb. So, and then you're gonna see with all the subjects various times. Okay, so let's start off slow here. We're gonna start off with basic identity statements. A is B, where you're gonna have in the A is going to be some noun or pronoun, then the verb, which is gonna be the said verb, conjugated depending on what the pronoun or the subject is, and then another noun. Okay, so here I give you the definitions too. Yo soy un hombre. I feel like you guys would know hombre, even though we Americans would be like, that's one tough hombre, hombre, right? But we know hombre is man. So, yo soy un hombre. Un is the indefinite article, a or an in English, and because hombre is masculine. Okay, any words that refer to like typically male figures or professions are going to be masculine. Doesn't matter how they're spelled. So, yo soy un hombre, I am a man. Tú eres una profesora. In Spanish, the words that we normally double the S's, we don't double the S's, right? And so just think of professor without the A ending, right? And with missing the S. So this is obvious, professor, right? But we also use profesora for teacher, not necessarily college professor. Okay, so tú eres una profesora. You are a teacher. I feel like that should be understandable to you. Él, he, es, obviously is, we know that. Mi, which is my, amigo. And what kind of a friend? Male or female? Male. Él es mi amigo. He is my friend. Ella, you could think of ella. I don't know if it helps you to remember it, but like if you read it like the American name, like Ella, well, Ella is obviously a girl's name in English, so Ella is just girl. It's just yeah, she. So ella, but double L in Spanish is a hard yeah. It's a hard Y. Not like a yo-yo, but more like a yuck. Yuck, or it's harder. It's a yuck. Ella, ella. Okay. Um, so ella es dentista. In Spanish, we can say una dentista. We can put the article, but with professions, it's not necessary, right? So I can say ella es una dentista. I can say that it's perfectly okay. But it's also very common, maybe even slightly more common, just to not include the article and just say ella es dentista. So with professions like this, you don't need to put the article, but you can. There's no, okay, so but in English, obviously we need the article because this is a count noun. We count it. We can okay, so she is a dentist. Easy enough to understand. Nosotros, we, somos. Notice the OS ending matching. OS for somos, for nosotros. Okay. Nosotros somos estudiantes. Right? If you can see this word here, estudiant, that should give you a clue that it's student, right? Obviously, you already saw on the right, but what I'm saying is you would be able to figure it out if I hadn't put it. Nosotros somos estudiantes. Plural, estudiantes, because we is plural. We are students. Okay. Ustedes, you guys. Son, by the way, obviously, not obviously, but the ustedes and the ellos have the same verb conjugation. Son and son. Uh, yeah, okay, so ustedes son poetas. You should, that obvious, right? Poetas, right? Poets. Poetas. Ellos son doctores. Obvious, right? They are doctors. Ellas son modelas. They are models. Right. Oh, Carlos, why are the guys the doctors and the girls the models? Because this is Spanish. If this was English, I'd reverse the rules for you. Okay, shots fired. Ellos son doctores, they are doctors. Ellas son modelas, they are models. This is not the goal of this lesson. This is the step to get us to the goal. What I want is that when I give you the English, you can produce the Spanish off the top of your head, not referencing the chart. There's nothing wrong with referencing the chart if as you're learning, as you're progressing, but the goal ultimately is that you can just make these sentences, off the dome. Okay, here we go. Let's practice now. Spanish to English. I will give you a little time and And so I will pause after I read it, and you can shadow if you want, and then I will give you time to try to think it through. A lot of these are gonna be super obvious. You'll be like, oh, like, but I'm trying to allow for people who are like brand new and have no intuitions. Or maybe not no intuitions, but okay. Yo soy inteligente. Yo soy inteligente. Notice the yo is kind of reversed here. Maybe that helps you remember. I don't know. Right. What's it called when words are spelled backwards and forwards? It's like a pa pala palindrome? Pa I don't remember the word. Anyway, yo soy inteligente. I am intelligent. Facts. No, not facts. I am intelligent. English, we use double L for intelligent. Spanish, just single. Tú eres amable. Tú eres amable. By the way, the tú with the accent mark means you. The tú without the accent mark is your. But same spelling, same vowels, same consonant. I should consonant vowel, but the accent mark marks the difference. Okay. Tú eres amable. This is like if you have any kind of basic English vocabulary, amable should be somewhat familiar as to the meaning. Have you gotten it? Tú eres amable. You are, let's say, kind or amiable if you want to be a little even more. But I put kind and nice, so you are kind. Let's just leave it. That's the most common translation. El, notice the accent mark. Those are the only two pronouns that have the accent mark, tú and el. El es alto, and it's O because el is masculine. El es alto, right? And alto is, do you remember? He is tall, okay? Pablo es un actor. I could just say Pablo es actor, but here I put it in because I think it's good to remember this. It's good to remember the gender of the noun. So I'm throwing in the un and the una and the el and the la every once in a while. Pablo es un actor. Pablo is an actor. An actor. Okay. Carlos es un acrobata. That should not be hard to figure out, acrobata. Like, I don't know what to tell you people if you can't see the similarities. Carlos is an acrobat in bed. Wow. Okay. Nosotros somos tus clientes. Nosotros. The longest word in Spanish, the longest pronoun in Spanish, nosotros. Uh, well, I was going to say it's the shortest one, but I is shorter than we. Anyway, we are your plural. Well, your, there's all singular and plural. Clients, clientes, clients. María es mi hermana. Maria is my hermana, sister. Ella, ellas, typo. Ellas son mis hermanas. Ellas son mis hermanas. They are my sisters. Ustedes son filósofos. Filósofos. The stress is on this O. Normally it would be here because this is the second to last, but it's not there. It's here. That's why it's stressed. You, I'll put guys, are philosophers. Losers. Ustedes son filósofos. Diego y Lionel son futbolistas. Diego and Lionel or Lionel are soccer players. Futbolistas. In Spanish, soccer is fútbol. And when you put lista, it's a person who does that thing, right? if you see this ending, this lista, or ista, I should say, or maybe plural istas, it's a person who does that thing, right? Okay, so just notice. Okay, next. María y Juanita son estudiantes. This should be nothing to you now. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. María and Juanita are students. Mi papá es artista. My dad is an artist. Mi mamá es pianista. My mom is a pianist. Yo soy capitalista. I am a capitalist all the way. Tú eres novelista. You are a novelist. Right? Easy. Capital, capitalista. Novel, novelista. Right? Okay. Piano, basically pianista. Art, artista. Easy, easy peasy. Japanese, Spanish easy. Okay. Now, the point is not so much for you to remember filósofos or even hermanas. That's not the point. The point is for you to remember the subject and verb conjugation patterns here. All right, this is the point. That when you hear Carlos and you're going to make an identity statement, you know you need S. When you know the subject is Lionel and Diego, you know you're going to need son. Right? This is we're trying to instill this chart, this conjugation chart for the present tense por ser. Okay. Now, here we go. English to Spanish, I'll give you more time. I am a teacher. You can use the article or you can leave it out. I would practice with the article, but it's still good Spanish if you leave it out. So I'm not gonna really say anything, or I'm not gonna worry or complain about if you don't. I am a teacher. Do you remember I? And do you remember what what the conjugation for ser is to match I, first person singular, I. I. I is yo. Do you remember that the verb kind of looks like it? It's a palindrome. Is it palindrome? I think that's the right word. Soy. Yo soy. And then what's teacher? If you're a guy, you would say profesor. If you're a girl, you would say profesora. Um, you can also say profesor, just like in English. A female can say, I am an actor, because actor can apply to men or women. But if you wanted to say I'm an actress, yeah, that's perfectly good English. So, and here, Spanish is the same. If you're female and you're a teacher, you can say yo soy profesora, but you can also say profesor. If you're going to use the article, yo soy un profesor and yo soy una profesora. Okay. You are a student. You are a student. Do you remember you? I have to go to my Spanish keyboard so I can type in the accent mark. You, tú, oops, tú. What is the verb though? Tú, did you remember the verbs? Okay, it's eres. A student. Let's put the article. Remember student? Un estudiante. This part's not so important, so I'm kind of going fast on this part. But I'm giving you time for the subject and the verb. He is my dad. He is my dad. Do you remember he? Él. Remember the verb ser for the third person singular, for he, for she, for Maria, for my dad. That's the third person singular. It sounds closest to is than all of them. Es. My dad. Mi papá. Él es mi papá. She is your mom. Not my mom. She is your mom. She. What's the female name that we're associating with she, but pronounced in Spanish differently? Ella. English reading. Ella. Spanish. Ella. Same third person singular, so same as the él es. Your mom. Your mom. Mom singular, so it's your tú. And mamá. Ella es tu mamá. We are tourists. Now, this is a new word, so don't worry, don't stress over the tourists. But it's very similar to the Spanish. It's almost comically similar to the Spanish. What is we, though? We. Do you remember we? Nosotros. And remember, the ending for the verb in the said verb is going to have, it's also two syllables. Here, the ending is otros, and then the Spanish verb for is going to be somos. Nosotros somos. And what is tourists in Spanish, plural? Turistas. Turistas. Don't worry about that part. Okay. You guys are economists. You guys are economists. Ustedes. What's the verb? Ustedes son economistas. Easy, right? Economists, economistas. Tourists, turistas. So guess what this is going to be? They are pacifists. Ellos son, remember the ustedes and the ellos. The ustedes and the ellos are going to have the same verb. Ustedes, ellos son pacifistas. Pacifistas. By the way, in Spanish, the C and the I makes a S, like a S sound. Same thing with the C and the E. C and the E is se. C and the I is C. But if it's an A, like Carlos, it's ka. So C-A-C-O-C-U, ka. C-E-C-I, se. C. Okay. They feminine this time. They are sisters. They are sisters. Ellas, same verb ending or same verb conjugation, son. Do you remember sisters? Hermanas. Ellas son hermanas. More. Okay. Maria is a florist. Maria is a florist. So it should be kind of intuitive. Like I'm trying to give you the same patterns. Maria es florista. Carlos is a moralist. That I am. Carlos es moralista. Carmen is a pessimist. Remember, in Spanish, we're not going to double the S. Carmen is a pessimist. Carmen es pesimista. My sister and brother are doctors. My sister and brother are doctors. Okay, here you have two ways of saying it, but we'll start with the first one. Mi hermana and hermano. That's the most normal way. Some people would say also mi hermano, but it's not necessary. So mi hermana y hermano, but it's plural subject, right? Because it's two. Son. And what is doctors? Doctores. Easy. Okay. Your friend is a dentist. Your friend is a dentist. It's up to you if you want to make it male or female. I'm putting male every time unless I'm indicating for female, then I will indicate it. But it's up to you, whatever. Just practice however you want here. Tu amigo es dentista. Your female friend is a teacher. Okay, so now I say female. So tu amiga es profesora. Your friends are idiots. Don't worry if you don't know what idiots is, but anyway. Tus, plural, because it's amigos, plural. You could also say amigas if it's all women, but okay, I didn't signal it. Tus amigos, your friends. Son, plural, because it's they are. Idiotas. Very common word in Spanish, idiotas. Okay. That's it. These are identity statements, English to Spanish. The point is that you know which is the right conjugation of ser given the subject. The second half, the part on the right here, is not so important. Don't worry if you didn't like take this as fast as I was like, yeah, typing it out. Okay, that's not the point. The point is that do you do this well? Right? Are you doing this quickly enough? Can you do this fast? All right, now. So these are identity statements basically where we have a noun on the left and a noun on the right, like this, or a pronoun on the left. Okay, now we're going to do descriptive statements. So now we're going to use some adjectives. So we're going to take a noun or pronoun as the subject, and we're going to use the said verb again, same kind of conjugation, and then we're going to use an adjective on the right. Okay, we'll start with the Spanish to English because it's easier. Yo soy inteligente. This, I feel like you guys should be pretty fast at this. I am intelligent. Oops, I'm typing like Spanish. You are, sorry. Tú eres alta. Tú eres alta. You are tall. And we're talking to a man or a woman? A woman, right? Because it's alta. That's feminine. Okay. Él es alto. He is tall. Okay. Ella es gorda. I don't, did Taco Bell have like a gorda chulupa or gordita chulupa? You guys know gorda? Gorda means fat, feminine. Gordo with an O would be masculine. In Spanish, by the way, we have a lot of diminutives, like 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 we would say gordita, which is like a cute way of saying she's fat. It's not really, but it is. Yeah, diminutives are popular in Spanish. Like my name is Carlos, but growing up, everybody called me Carlitos. Right? That's just the diminutive of it. Anyway, so gorda, but you can also say gordita if you want. Gordito would be the masculine version, but we're doing gorda here. Let's not add to our what we need. Okay, so ella is gorda. She is fat, fatty. Sorry. Okay, nosotros somos americanos. If you don't know what americanos is and you are American, you are very American. Okay, nosotros somos americanos. We are American. America. Ustedes son románticos. La la. Ustedes son. You are. Or you guys, if you want. You guys are romantic. Choo choo choo. Okay. Ellos son elegantes. Please tell me you know elegantes. What elegantes is. Ellos son. They are elegant. Oops. Elegant. And notice that the elegantes is plural because ellos is plural. If it wasn't ellos, if it was just like él, then it wouldn't be elegantes. It would just be elegante. Right? It would just be, so I'll put it here just so you can see. If this, let's put ella because I don't want to type the little sign. Ella es elegante. Right? Singular. She is elegant because it's singular, but plural, elegantes. Okay. Maria is bonita. Here's another word that I didn't talk about, but I feel like most Americans know bonita. Bonita. Do you guys know bonita? Maria is pretty. Okay. Carlos es, again, the CI is a S sound here. Paciente. Carlos es paciente. Carlos is patient. Not true. I am not patient. Mi mamá es curiosa. Curiosa. My mother is curious. Don't let dad find out. Mi papá es dramático. My father is dramatic. Okay. There, I switched the gender roles for you. Tu hermana es popular. Take that any way you wish. Tu hermana es popular. Your sister is popular. And we know why. Mi hermano es Sorry, I wanted to say something first. Read this word. If you read this word, you can read it as a regular English word, intolerable. Just read it with a Spanish way. You don't have to make any changes. So, my brother is intolerable. Nosotros somos agnósticos. I feel like you guys should figure this out. Nosotros somos agnósticos. We are agnostic. Ustedes son católicos. Ustedes son católicos. Another word I think you guys should figure it out. You guys are Catholic. Ellas son exóticas. Ellas son exóticas. They, feminine, are exotic. And yo soy famoso. Not true. I am famous. Notice that the Spanish uses the F instead of the PH. Well, not, I take that back. It does use the F for the instead of the PH, like in philosopher, we use a F for filósofos, right? But here, famous is obviously with an F too, so F. Okay. That's it. That was the descriptive part, but this is the Spanish. Now we're gonna go to the hard part, the English to Spanish. I wanted to say one thing. When you make a sentence negative, all you're going to do is stick the no somewhere after the subject and before the verb. Now, because we're making simple A is B sentences, there's only one place to put it, the no, and it's here. So in Spanish, A is not B would be the form. Okay. By the way, I say somewhere before because it doesn't always go immediately before the verb. Like once you start putting in direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, it doesn't go next to the verb, but it'll go before the verb, but not exactly touching the verb, right? Not immediately before what I mean. Okay. But for now, since we have simple sentences, there's nothing in between the subject and the verb. So if you were to make this negative, we would just put no there. And so it's making Spanish statements negative is easier than in English. Because in English, we have to use doesn't or don't. Spanish, we just have to say no every time. Okay, here we go. I am tall. How would I say that in Spanish? I'll give you time to think. I am. That's the key. What is I am? Do you remember I am? Yo soy. And what is tall? If you're a man, you would say alto. If you're a woman or a girl or a female or any of the 100 genders that we have in America, I don't know what you would say actually. Alta, feminine. Okay. You are not tall. So now here we go. How would I make you are not tall? So just think of you are tall and then stick the word no before the verb here. So you are not tall. Tú. I need the Spanish keyboard for that. Tú. I could just copy and paste, I guess, but this is just as fun. Tú no eres alto. Again, for masculine. Feminine, alta. I'm not going to keep typing it. She is not intelligent. Facts. She is not intelligent. Ella no es inteligente. She is idiota. Okay. Maria and Carmen are famous. Maria y Carmen plural, and it's third person plural, so it's they, kind of. So, son famosas. Did you remember famous? Don't worry, that's not the point of this video or exercise. We are kind. We. Do you remember we? We don't use it all that much here, but nosotros somos amables. I put someone. What the heck? Somos amables. You guys are not tall. You guys, ustedes, not are not. No son tall. And now you have to pluralize alto to altos for males. And if it's females, it would be alt. I said I'm not going to do it. Okay. Altas. So, ustedes no son altos. Your brother is fat. Probably a fact if you're American. Tú. And this is no accent mark because this is the adjective tú, not the pronoun tú. Tu hermano es gordo. Gordito. Do some exercise. Your sister is popular. Once again, we're not saying why she's popular, but she is. Tu hermana es, and it's the same in English. We just have a Spanish reading. Popular. My dad and my mom are criminals. Okay. Okay. My dad and my mom are criminals. Mi papá y oops, I put my. Sorry. Now here, mi papá. I told you before that a lot of people would put I forget what sentence it was. Here, it's very common to see also me again. You don't need it. You can, so I'll put it in parentheses. Oops, wrong parentheses. Or wrong parentheses. You can, so mi mamá y papá, you can say mi mamá y papá, but it's also very common to hear mi mamá y mi papá, or mi papá y mi mamá. And then, so it's third person plural, so son criminales. All right. What is this trying to tell me? Oh, they take away my parentheses. Okay. It doesn't matter. You get my point, right? You can have both. You can have this, or you can take out the second me. It's fine. Okay. This book is interesting. Do you remember this? It's been a long time. Este, because este is masculine because book is masculine. Do you know book? I didn't give it to you before. It comes from the Latin libro. Eso de nuevo. Libro. Este libro, and so it's third person because it's this book. Es, and then interesting in Spanish is interesante. Kind of like intelligent. We just add the e. Okay. This house. The word for house is casa. It's feminine. So it's not este, it's esta. Esta casa. Again, third person. So es my house. Mi casa. Isn't that the most natural Spanish sentence, but it's not terribly bad. It's not like completely unheard of to say like this. Esta casa es mi casa. Most people just use the pronoun here and say esta es mi casa. But this is like, yeah, this is not terribly bad. Okay. Terribly bad. Anyway, the animal is terrible. The animal. The word for animal is animal. It's the same. It's the same. But is it masculine or feminine? El, masculine. Animal es terrible. Same word, we just pronounce it double. And this one is the double R because it's a trilled R here. It's terrible. Okay. It could have been single R in some cases, but I mean, not the word terrible, but in some cases, the letter R in the middle would just be by itself. One R, not double. We are not presentable. And again, I'm giving you these words are spelled exactly the same in English and Spanish. It's just we have to read them with the Spanish pronunciation or Spanish reading, let's just say. Okay, we are not presentable. Nosotros no Somos. Presentable. Same word. Somos. What do I write? Somo again. Somos. Oh no, last time I wrote somon. Presentable, sorry, plural. I forgot plural. I forgot plural. Too much switching back and forth. Okay, that's my excuse. You guys are not tolerable. Ustedes, not, no. What's the verb for ser for ustedes? Son. And then we just have to make sure we have plural. Tolerables. I almost didn't do it. You guys are not tolerable. Ustedes no son tolerables. Okay. She is incurable. Again, it's the same word. We just have to read it with a Spanish reading. Ella es incurable. She's gonna die. She's going to die. My sister and your brothers. I'll put this one below because it's gonna wrap around anyway. My sister and your brothers, plural. My sister, singular, and your brothers, plural, are sociable. Again, the word is the same. We just have to read it in Spanish. I'm talking about sociable. Mi hermana y tus. Did you remember tus hermanos, plural? Tus hermanos. They are, son, sociables. Okay. So the one point I want to, that's it for this exercise. The one I want to make sure that um, if I say I no. What's my point? Here's my point. Um, you are talking to my sisters. Okay. This my in English. No, that's not the point. What was my point? I'll make the point right now. I'll make it this way. I'll make it this way. Uh, when I say something like, I'll have to use the Spanish. María es mi hermana. This me refers to me, the speaker, right? Okay. So in English, this would be Maria is my sister. And again, the my refers to me, the speaker, and I'm just one speaker, right? But if if I wasn't talking about just myself, I would say something like Maria. I'll put it on this side. Maria is our sister. Right here, I'm not just talking about myself. I'm talking about maybe me and my brother, right? Or me and my other sister. And I would say Maria is our sister. So this refers to the speaker, right? The antecedent, well, it doesn't have an antecedent, but it refers to the speaker. This refers to the speaker. So that's the way the grammar works in English. But in Spanish, it doesn't work that way. In Spanish, this word, like this me, is dependent on the following word because it's modifying hermana. And so you have to ask, well, is hermana singular? Yes. So that's why it's me. It doesn't matter. In English, I could say, I can say in English, I can say you are talking, or like, I can say my sisters, right? I can say my sisters, Maria and Carmen are my sisters. It's still my, right? Because I'm just talking about myself. I'm referring to myself only. And the my is saying I'm referring to myself only. It has nothing to do with sister or sisters. That's why my doesn't change. But in Spanish, it does change. Because if you're saying sisters, then you have to say hermanas. Mis hermanas. María y Carmen son mis hermanas. Can I pull that back? Yeah. Okay. So this is the difference. The me must modify the hermana. And that's where the change happens because hermana is singular, so me must be singular. Hermanas is plural, so mis must be plural. But in English, it doesn't work that way. the sister does not affect whether you say my. It's the fact that you're referring to yourself. So it's the person speaking that and the person speaking is only referring to himself or herself, so it's my. And whether it's sister or sisters is immaterial. Okay, that's the point. That's different. The grammar works differently in Spanish than English with this regard as far as possessive adjectives. Um, all right. That's it. Okay, I hope you did well. In the next lesson, we will add a little bit. We're not going to add much. We're going to actually we might not even add anything, but we're going to we'll add a little bit to our vocabulary, especially I think along the lines of adjectives. Um, no, I take that back. Uh, we might add some places, some nouns, some locations, because we're going to use the next verb. We're going to use the next. So we're going to use the same thing, but we're going to do the estar verb, which is the other be verb. You have to know the ser and estar in Spanish. Those are the most common verbs, besides maybe tengo, to have. Yeah. So the next lesson will be just like this, but we're going to use the estar verb and some basic simple sentences with estar, and then we'll add with some like we'll use the paradigm AR verb like hablar. We'll use our paradigm ER verb, comer, to eat. Hablar is to speak or to talk. And we'll use our paradigm IR verb, vivir, which means to live. And paradigm, because this is the ones we're going to use all the time, we're going to learn the conjugation in the present tense for those. And those are regular verbs. So all verbs that are AR and regular will conjugate exactly like hablar. All verbs that are ER and regular will conjugate in the present tense exactly like comer, and all verbs that are regular and IR verbs will conjugate exactly like vivir in the present tense. Okay, and then so, but we're also going to add some very useful, some very common irregular verbs that we need. We're going to limit ourselves to like 3 or 4 of them. But Spanish, even though Spanish has a lot more grammar, I think, than English, it's very regular. And even the irregular verbs are pretty regular. It's like they might be irregular in like in one of the conjugations, right? But yeah, it's not terribly irregular. I think the worst you're going to see as far as irregular, I think, is the ser verb in the present tense. All right, that's it. I hope it's useful. I don't want to keep ranting here, or not ranting, rambling here. Um, if this was helpful, if you're able to produce sentences at the end, and by the way, don't get too upset with me if I didn't give you enough time. Just pause the damn video. Like it'll just be easier if I make shorter videos. Uh, it'll be better, I think. Anyway, all right, that's it. Thanks. I gotta go.